if you want to use the accent. Most people just say it, however.
No, we got it. We got it. Hey, this is Javier. I have Isaac Sierra, and we're going to talk about South by Southwest because he's coming down from Albuquerque, New Mexico.
How's your day been?
It's pretty good, pretty good. I bought a bunch of alcohol. I haven't actually drank in a few weeks. I've been trying to work out, get in shape, get ready for South by Southwest. What about you?
Same, man. I've been hitting the gym again. Just recently, I worked myself out. You ever had that situation where you went a long gap and you try to do the same workouts you used to and you couldn't move?
Yeah, bro. Have you ever gotten to the point where you get older and stuff start hurting so you just can't work it out?
You know what? I had never really hit the gym when I was younger, and so I don't have a comparison. I just know that when I turned 30 that morning, literally I bent down and tried to pick something up off the floor and couldn't get back up.
All right, everybody. So today is a special day. We're going to talk to Isaac, and we're going to talk about his potential. We have a charity. It's called My Kind of Therapy.
Yeah, we started off. My Kind of Therapy was a song that I made back in 2012, and we created the hashtag MKOT so folks could find us on YouTube. And the hashtag ended up becoming what was our advocacy brand for the longest time for mental health. We have now decided to actually go ahead and fill out the 501(c)(3), become an actual functioning nonprofit that is going to start off with music, art, and business education courses. And then eventually we would like to create services that are going to help folks find employment and protection in those employment opportunities and housing and stuff for folks that are trying to transition off of the streets and into, other parts of society.
Wow, that's pretty amazing that you got all that going on.
Definitely are learning a lot of new things,
So we're going to go ahead and start talking about, you're going to be spending the next week South by Southwest. In merely a week, you're going to be down here in Austin.
Yeah.
And so what I was reading from you is you were telling me the Full Circle Bar is going to be hosting you and your media fest that you have going on.
Yes. So aside from the nonprofit, we have a media company called Manifest Media. And I went to Austin last December, discovered the venue, reached out to them, and they had just so happened to have somebody relieve themselves of the showcases they would usually organize for the venue. So we were able to seize that opportunity. We booked a bunch of really great local bands from Austin and surrounding areas, and some other artists from around the United States, and really excited about showcasing the talent. So we have live music happening all 4 days. So dates for the events are March 12th through 15th. So that would be Tuesday through Friday. And we have an array of different genres. On the 13th, which would be the Wednesday, we have some stand-up comedians from Austin, Texas coming out to do some stand-up, and that portion of the show is going to start around midnight. So
everybody knows that the Full Circle Bar is March the 12th to the 15th, and the actual address is 1810 East 12th Street, South in Texas, 78702.
Sorry to interrupt. We've been made aware that they're going to be offering free skee ball to any attendees from the start of the event till 4 p.m. So that's about 2 hours. Each event is starting at 2 p.m. So from 2 p.m. to 4 p.m., anybody that comes to the event gets to play skee ball for free.
I also see that you're going to have a silent auction at this media presence.
Right. So we're going to be auctioning off some artwork, other pieces of merchandise from some of the acts that are performing, as well as maybe potential gift cards and from different businesses and stuff like that. We are corporately sponsored by Buffalo Wild Wings, and so I believe that we're going to have some of those included into each silent auction as well.
So will everybody be getting wings? Is that what you're trying to tell us?
I would love to be able to cater it. I did try to get that situation figured out, but the bar was first intentions when we first booked it was to have their kitchen in operation so that they could provide food. I don't believe that they will actually be able to do that. And so I'm actually kind of looking for maybe potential food trucks that might want to be involved. That's not a guarantee, but there's also a really great barbecue spot that's literally like walking distance from the venue that I was able to enjoy when I went out there to visit.
So tell us about the actual mental health nonprofit that you are trying to get together, because it's not exactly together, but you are certainly working on it. Can you give us a little more elaboration on it?
We had been an advocacy brand for about 6 years. Last year, we threw our first mental health awareness event, which is now becoming an annual event that we host in May. We also did a tour that was surrounding suicide prevention. So another thing outside of the nonprofit is we're trying to create a foundation called the Long Live Long Foundation, in honor of a friend of mine that committed suicide almost 20 years ago. What we hope to do is to provide her daughter a scholarship to be able to go to college. And then so this is like a 5-year plan. Her daughter is about 14 or 15 now. She was like just 1 year old when she committed suicide. And so we're hoping to be able to raise enough money to give her daughter the first college scholarship. And then we would be taking like applicants at that point to give other children who have lost their parents to suicide opportunities to go and further their education.
Okay. So like, do you happen to know what the bands are and so forth? I know a lot of people are asking that.
Yeah. We actually, we have a whole lineup, bands, almost 100 acts for the whole 4 days. And so I could list off some of the ones that I'm really excited to see.
Yeah, if you could just list off a couple of it doesn't need to be the well-known bands, but it needs to be like some of the bands that people recognize and they know they'll be there.
So I guess the most recognizable name may be Sean Barna, and he's part of a record label called Kill Rock Stars. He kind of seems like a one-man show from the footage that I've seen and stuff, and very incredible performer. We're also really excited for the Etcs. Both of those acts are playing on the Friday. I have a buddy, his name is Dubs General, and he does stand-up comedy and rap music, and so he's going to be performing on the 13th, doing stand-up, and he'll be performing and kind of helping co-host the event on the 14th, which is that Thursday, performing some of his hip-hop records and stuff like that. We have some other artists coming from Columbus, Ohio, doing hip-hop music. D-Money is from Ohio, and then we have 2 artists from Omaha, Nebraska, Ghost, and I don't want to get this name wrong. Let me go ahead and look up the list real quick.
Go right ahead. So a lot of people don't know is there's going to be, you're going to give away free wristbands on the first day or something of the sort, is when you were talking to me?
Yeah, so basically every day the cover to get into the event is only $5. If you'd like to attend all 4 events, it's $20 for all 4 days. We're hoping that I have actually made wristbands by hand, like kind of like if you're familiar with the EDM scene, they kind of are familiar to like the candy bracelets that they exchange within the EDM culture. And so we have a bunch of wristbands that I've made by hand that we will be giving out to folks that are in attendance. Basically, anybody who might just kind of walk in has the opportunity to pay like a flat rate to get into the rest of the events for the rest of the week. And so basically, this is all kind of like donation based. We're not necessarily there to like make money per se off of everybody. We are having an appearance from a local nonprofit from Austin, Weird City Sisters, which they are performance or performers, drag queens that do different appearances and stuff like that. And so one of their representatives is going to be at the March 15th show later in the evening. Sister Gringa Hayes is the representative that's for sure been booked for the appearance, and we will be donating a portion of the cover for that day to their organization. That's going to go to their beneficiaries. I'm not sure exactly who their beneficiaries are exactly. I don't want to misquote, but we had experienced a little of, like, I guess, a backlash from some artists that had felt like event organizers and promoters, venues had been taking advantage of them. And so we did want to make everybody aware that we're trying to make sure that we just cover the costs, everything that we're doing, because we are traveling from Albuquerque, New Mexico, transporting sound, and we have one of our DJs. She's DJing each night. She's from Tulsa, Oklahoma. Her name is DJ Sika, and she's going to be providing sound as well. So I'm just trying to make sure that we're able to like cover costs of the production, any of the acts that are like really giving an effort to promotion and stuff like that and draw a crowd have potential to be compensated depending on how well the events go.
Well, that's pretty interesting. So you're going to be donating to multiple charities and not just your own and the sisters' charity, is what you say?
Yeah. Yeah. So basically, the way that we decided to even become functioning within the community is I just felt like we needed to do more than just, because advocacy is just creating awareness. It's basically just making people, speaking about things and I guess you could say independently lobbying for awareness, right? And so when we threw our first mental health awareness event last year, we were raising money for a local charity. We were also, that's like our intention as far as trying to build up the nonprofit that we're trying to create. We just figured that we might as well help out some already existing programs.
That's good. I really appreciate that you're trying to help out the local community.
Yeah, because I know that as folks were like, you're just coming from out of state and you're trying to cash grab, and that's never our intention. Even when we do a lot of community outreach events, it's never our intention to just make money. Obviously, everybody has to be compensated.
Well, when people come to South by Southwest, that's like one of the intentions is to make money and bring awareness to certain things. Their bands, right. Their artists.
Covered, I know that.
It's one of the things that they do.
Right. And so I got caught up in the jumble of like disgruntled bands and stuff like that, which I can completely understand that because I myself am a musician. I'm a hip hop artist myself, and I do other forms of music as well, but I'm predominantly a hip hop vocalist. And so the intent behind our media company is to be able to create like a DIY situation that has the backing of a major label. And so we aren't ever trying to sign an act and take a singer-songwriter and make them a pop star if that's not what their goals are. We always sit down with an act that we might potentially want to bring onto our roster and find out what their goals are. And we're just trying to help them reach their goals. And if we have ideas or they have ideas to exceed those goals, if we could ever try to create fruition in that area, that's what we intend to do for any of the folks that, even if they're not part of our roster and they're just part of our network, because I believe in networking more than anything. These are networking events above all else. My career has flourished from just meeting people and creating relationships within whatever network I was creating, whether it was business or music or the nonprofit circuit, just so that we can, at the end of the day, try to help scratch people's backs, not with the intention of them ever scratching our back.
Well, Isaac, you yourself have a very interesting story. You were almost homeless at one point. You've gone through a lot. If you wanted to let them know a little bit about your life.
Yeah, so one of the things that I was originally doing and what brought us to the whole mental health being the forefront, I had kind of couch surfed and lived out of backpacks for a good decade. Like, basically, I was just so devoted to my own personal career that I made a lot of sacrifices so that I could kind of progress. There was a point in time where I was given the opportunity to work with a vendor on Van's Warped Tour, and I traveled along with them doing miscellaneous jobs. I was driving for other vendors and stuff like that to be on the tour. And I had always had like a soft spot in my heart for folks that were completely homeless. Fortunately for me, folks were always like opening their doors and allowing me to stay where I could when I could. And I had seen other friends of mine who were completely living on the streets, struggling. And basically that was our first intent, is to create a nonprofit that was going to help the homeless. And my sister, she's a social worker. Her profession was in mental health. She had made me aware that, I had already spoke about mental health very transparently in my music a lot, and that a lot of the things that the homeless are dealing with and other folks that are dealing with different struggles, facing not only psychosis, but we are, our attention is to help folks that are dealing with traumatic brain injuries and just the betterment of like brain function in general. Like, our ultimate goal one day is to be a service provider for anybody dealing with those types of issues, along with hopefully being able to raise money for research so that they can discover things that might help folks that are dealing with, other, not necessarily like illnesses or disabilities, but just in general, just like the betterment of like healthy brain function, whether it be research or those types of things. But yeah, so I did become an artist. I became a recording artist when I was about 16. I'm 34 now. So I've been in the music industry for about close to 20 years now. I started out with my uncle's band, T.R.U.T.H, did a record with them when I was 16. That's what kind of got my feet wet. And then I went off and became a solo artist. And this was back in the day when you would still kind of push demo CDs and stuff like that. And so I used to go like walk around our college campus here, UNM campus, and try to, sell CDs. That's kind of where I got a lot of the first ideas of how to market and how to promote, because we do have a division within the media company that's strictly for those things. I feel like some of what artists are lacking, or even businesses in general, whether they're a humongous business or corporations, is they are spending a lot of money on so many different things and really leave out the most important part, which is, marketing and promotion. Try to create bands, and I try to, be in rap groups and stuff like that. I was in a rap group called Stackhouse Music, and we had an offer. We had the opportunity to go cut records in California, and they were shopping us around to Universal, and I ended up parting ways with that group and going off on my own. I had an opportunity. We had an offer from Funk Volume, which was, if anybody's aware of Hobson, he's an underground artist, independently, and we had an offer on the table from them that was kind of soiled by my at-time management. Sometimes when you have your friends trying to do business for you, it doesn't always work out. Unfortunately, they pulled out of that deal. And a few years later, we had an offer on the table from YMCMB, which is Lil Wayne's label. And I ended up deciding not to take that deal just because I didn't feel like I necessarily fit in there. I didn't feel like they were going to really want to talk about some of the things that I put in my music as far as the message and stuff. And so we got to the point where I did the Warped Tour run in 2016. We had the opportunity to be on the tour again the next year. Unfortunately, that kind of fell through after about 5 dates because I've always been very ambitious. And so we were hosting a stage in the parking lot, and we were trying to build up the nonprofit since then. And so we were kind of accepting money from people to secure placement for them to perform. And somebody got a little overzealous and tried to blackmail their way into the festival. And They were already dealing with a lot of bad press and lawsuits, and so I kind of had to get thrown under the bus, and I had to leave the tour, which kind of left me in a very depressed state. So that was about end of 2017, and I'm at this point ready to give up music because I'd already been doing this independently for so long that I just kind of felt like that might have been my last chance. And that's when I actually, because I hated social media. Like, I refused to be a part of it back when Facebook was just becoming popular or Twitter was just becoming popular.
You mean when it was like in its infancy age, when people didn't actually use it? It's not like what it was today.
Right. But I had studied the format behind how Funk Volume had started. They did a lot of direct-to-consumer marketing. And so I basically just took a page out of their book and started to create a fan base that has now become a global fan base. And later that same year, we created the record that's based around, wasn't necessarily intentionally based around suicide prevention when we first wrote the record. It was just, I found the music that we recorded over. Shout out to that producer. He's from Canada. Man, I'm trying to remember his name. I don't want to get it wrong, but it is listed in the song. But yeah, so basically we cut the record. I was wanting to collaborate with a friend of mine's, like an associate that I've known through other folks here in Albuquerque. And his name is Heathen, or his artist name is Heathen. Shout out to Heathen. He's actually living in Houston, Texas now. But yeah, so we wanted to put him on the record. He did the screams in that record. It's kind of like a rap metalish melody. And so we put that record out, and it all came together. I didn't even know what to write. And the verses, they cut the chorus and sent it back to me. And I had already spoke about the friend. Her name is Tina Flores, the friend that committed suicide that we're trying to create the foundation in honor of. And another friend of mine that used to do music, his name's Andrew Vega, and his rap name was MC Money when we used to make music together. But he, unfortunately, it's still not documented as an OD, but he always used to talk about self-inflicting an OD. And I do believe that it was a heroin overdose. The report says heart attack, but, from other folks that were closer to him, they, kind of agree with me that that's probably what it was, a self-inflicted OD. And so the first verse is about the friend that committed suicide. She hung herself with a wire hanger. And the second verse is about the friend of mine I believe self-inflicted the OD. And so that song is called How Could You? And it became our biggest record till to this day even. It kind of just took on a life of its own. And that's where the Advocacy brand, the MCOT brand, had created like a community around the world of folks that were just kind of understanding that we were trying to create a community that, like, we were trying to create something that was bigger than myself. This had nothing really to do with me. It just was something that we were creating that people kind of adopted and became devout to. That now we are creating that's becoming the nonprofit. But we have fans all over the world, like tattooing the hashtag on them. The hashtag is MKOT, hashtag MKOT. And basically people had adopted the idea that, like, within this community, I just wanted people to know that they weren't alone, that, like, people weren't dealing with these things by themselves, that everybody, whether they're dealing with clinical depression or other forms of psychosis or traumatic brain injury or any of the things that might just create hardship in your life, that you aren't alone. And it's okay to reach out to folks, because we would rather have somebody reach out and speak to us about the things that they're going through rather than wake up one day and get the news that they unfortunately may have did something destructive to themselves that may have, gotten to the point that they may have taken their own lives, or just in general, like what we advocated for at first was, harm reduction and things like that, where we would prefer that folks, instead of cutting themselves, because I do understand that like folks do these things for a form of release. My sister used to self-harm, and I didn't personally get it myself. Her and I both had different childhoods. We're about like 8 years apart. And so, she had a conversation with me one evening where she was like burning herself with a cigarette or something like that. And she was like, have you ever felt numb to the point that you just wanted to feel something? And I grew up in the hood. And so when you're dealing with as many near-death experiences as we're dealing with when you're in those environments, I wasn't really on a quest to feel something. I was in survival mode every single day of my life in a different way. And so we didn't really understand each other exactly. But we did say that, like, I would prefer, if you did need that release from pain, we would suggest that you go and try to get a tattoo. You know what I'm saying? Even embrace athletics, you know what I'm saying? Because that's like a different form of pain that you feel from being sore from working out and things like that.
Well, a lot of people don't really understand, like, there's other ways. Like, they just don't have to hurt themselves.
Right. And also, so like one of the things that I personally deal with and what I speak about in the My Kind of Therapy song is I deal with like rage and anger issues. And so eventually we are trying to create like a business that would provide like rage rooms for folks. Cause, I grew up in destructive households where when folks would get mad, they would tear apart their own possessions. And so eventually at these annual festivals that we're trying to do for at least the mental health awareness event that we do every May, we eventually want to give people like demos as far as like the rage room to, there's healthier outlets. And I know that sometimes you're not in the frame of the mind where you're like, how can I do this healthier? We encourage everybody to get to that point of awareness where they're like, if I'm being triggered and I need particular forms of release, is there an alternate avenue that we can take versus what we might have been taught? Because everything is learned. 95% of the ways that we conduct ourselves as human beings is learned behavior. And so you can relearn how to address, hey, am I being triggered right now? And is my outlet drugs and alcohol? Maybe I shouldn't go do those things. And instead, maybe I can go do another thing that is a better way to cope, Well,
a lot of people don't actually know or even understand what is a rage room, if you don't mind me asking.
So a rage room would be like a situation where a company puts you in a controlled environment with safety gear and you are able to destroy miscellaneous objects that they put in. So some companies will accept donations, or they'll go and, acquire different objects. You can break TVs and furniture and other things like that. And they would put you in like protective suit, like some sort of, and you usually have to sign a waiver because you can sustain injury within those environments as well. And so, yeah, basically a rage room is a place where a person gets to go freely, I guess, instead of going and breaking something. What's that charge called? Like destruction of property or something like that.
Destruction
Like
of state property, or just
instead of going,
they don't own.
Right. Instead of like breaking, we give you the outlet to break our shit instead of your shit or somebody else's,
Yeah. And then was there anything else that you wanted to add?
I'm sorry?
Was there anything else that you wanted to say before we actually get off?
Basically, our ultimate message for the last year has been, it's okay to not be okay. And any situation that you're in has to pass. Like, all of life is about, I guess, knowing that whether you're in good times or bad times, that they aren't going to last forever. And so if you're in a good place, absolutely prepare for rainy days. And if you're experiencing the rainy day, always know that the sun will come out at some point, figuratively. Like you will get through a moment of distress if you are patient enough to get through it.
So that everybody knows that it's going to be March the 12th to the 15th.
March 12th through 15th at Full Circle Bar. If anybody uses Instagram, you can find my Instagram page. My personal artist page is True to the Rhymes. So it's TRUE, the number 2, DA, like duh, RHYMES. And that's all one word. You can find me on Instagram. You can find the Manifest Media page, which is at MANIFESTMEDI. So it's Manifest Medi. Some other folks that already kind of taken the other tagline or whatever. But yeah, you can find the flyers there. You can find the event page. It's Manifest Media Presents Side by Side. That's what we're calling these events because they're networking events and because we're trying to help the local community as well as the global community and have artists like network with each other and build bonds that might provide opportunities later in life. And we're alongside the official South by Southwest showcases. That's what we had called the event. So it's Manifest Media Presents Side by Side, the unofficial South by Southwest showcases on Facebook. That's the event page that lists all of the performers and gives you a little bit more of a description of what you can kind of find happening at the event.
All right. So everybody knows that all the details and all the everything is going to be on the YouTube channel, as well as the details will be on the links and everything. We'll have yeah. So
you can find artist music on the event page as well. I personally do video editing, and I've been trying to highlight each artist with some of their music and their logos. And I would hope that the acts stick around at the events and talk to people, because that's really the biggest thing that's created my fan base. Like, I found what fan base liked my particular genre of music and my message, and I just, instead of just spamming people all day, I would conversate with them and have created actual friendships and bonds with people that became as close as family. And that's what has really sustained our subscribers, or the supporters that we have around the world, is just kind of being willing to treat people like human beings and speak to them. So I implore every artist to stick around these events, and if somebody shows you any form of interest, talk with them.
All right, then. All right. Well, thank you, Isaac. Thank you for being on the show. I'm going to promote this, and we're going to get South by South going for South by Southwest.
Absolutely. I'm super excited to meet you in person.
Well, good. I will be there. I will let you know when I show up, and then we can actually have a live.
Yeah, absolutely. I would love that. And then I would love to highlight some of the other artists that are on the bills as well. So
yeah, by all means, like, I could take all the equipment, and I could probably even spend like the day there just recording with other people.
That would be amazing, honestly. And like I said, I know that Full Circle has been around in the Austin community for a long time. So if we can get them to interview, that's something that I've been trying to do, is develop a podcast where we go and interview business owners. Because I feel like we're in an age where entrepreneurship has been kind of brought to the forefront of popular culture. And I'm not going to say that everybody is a business owner. I do believe that there are folks, and that's okay. Like, I feel like everybody is pushing this, like, create your own business, and by all means do that, because we live in America and we have the opportunities to run our own businesses if we like. But if you just feel like being part of a company that you just want to work for, some people just want to go clock in and clock out, which is absolutely okay. But for those that do have the inspiration to become entrepreneurs and business owners, sometimes learning from other people's mistakes or just hearing other people's testimony can inspire you and encourage you to get over those hills, because running your own business is, it can be tricky and it can be a struggle for some folks. You know, you have to sometimes unadopt certain methods that were beneficial to you in certain points in time, because we're in a technological age now where there's no going back. You know, there's never going to be steps backwards. You know, technology is always going to continue to like push forward. And if we're able to adopt these things, like I've seen as far as like our marketing division, when I work with business owners that refuse, whether they're a restaurant owner and they refuse to partner up with Uber Eats or any of these other food delivery services, or they refuse to use social media, it's not going away. And the only reason I have the passion that I have towards it now is because, like I said, I never wanted to use social media. I only usually use it for business, or to, you know, network with people. And I, even myself, having never wanted to create a social media account, we provide social media marketing services for people now. And so, you know, embrace today and understand the future is coming quick.
Yeah. And if you want to meet me, I should be there on the 12th and 13th. I will have more than the opportunity to be there for the 12th and 13th. So the first 2 days.
I would love to sit down and, you know, chat with you a little bit more on and off there.
No, yeah, it'll be better to actually meet in person.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I'm not really like Facebook stalkerish, like unless I have to. Like, when it comes to some of the acts, like I'll go into their like artist pages and you know, use some of their content for promotion and stuff. But I would love to put a face to the name and the voice at this point. So.
Oh yeah, definitely. All right then. Well, I'm gonna let you go so I can get started, and hopefully we can have this produced and pumped out by tomorrow, because I have to go back on duty tomorrow.
Great. Super excited about hearing this, and hopefully it brings you more subscribers, and I'd love to be on the show in the future. And
yeah, by all means, we'll see you next week.
Cool, man.
All right.
For your time.